Well, good morning, everybody. Hi, this is Carrie from Conversations at Carrie's Korner. Welcome to the podcast this morning on this little bit chilly Wednesday morning in Texas. Hope you are having a splendid day wherever you are. Let's get started this morning. But first of all, let's kind of talk a little bit real quickly about Conversations at Carrie's Korner. What is that all about? Sorry about that. I was falling off my chair. Conversation at Carrie's Korner is a place to have conversations. Because truly, when we have conversations, that's where real change in our society can happen. If you would for a second, think back to the good old days where we had these beautiful 50s diners, right? You could go in, you could sit down at the bar and you could have a coffee and a slice of pie or pancakes or a hamburger, whatever, and have this great experience. And a lot of times meet somebody new. And you could walk out of that conversation and realize, wow, I've got a new friend, a new acquaintance, or potentially I have a new idea or a revised idea on a subject that I really didn't realize, because a great conversation took place, and that's how change begins. Real change, effective change. And in our nation today, we need that desperately to save our society, to save our country. We just need to figure out a way to come back to the middle. So conversation is truly the answer if we're willing to participate, to listen, to respect each other, to respect each other's ideas and thoughts and positions. But it has to be a two-way street. Without a doubt. Has to be. What I want to talk today about is a very important subject. It is one of the integral parts of our America. Let me grab a drink real quick. Grab one, by the way. A drink. And that's freedom of speech. Our right to have freedom of speech. It's crucial. We must have it, and we must save it at all costs. It is a vital and ingregate part of our society and our ability to be uniquely American. It's under siege right now because we have such a massive divide. And on each side, there are fringe radicals. But the majority of the people kind of fall here. We're not quite in the middle, but we're close enough to the middle that sometimes we can reach over and exchange ideas. It's these that are out here on the far left and far right that is where all the issues and the trouble starts. But there's also a really big player in this divide. And I feel I hold them probably 75 to 80% responsible for the current status of our civil unrest. And that's our news media. They are so powerful. They can change the direction of anything in a day. They can destroy somebody's life in an hour, in one show, in one report. It is the most powerful thing in the United States, our news media, and they are out of control. They have lost their objectiveness. They have betrayed the definition of what journalism is. Journalism is defined as the presentation or delivery of facts to a group of people, that it is non-biased, that it does not deliver those facts with any particular sway of opinion, but that it is completely neutral and it is the delivery system of facts to a society. That's not what we have. Not anymore. These great, great news anchors that are no longer with us must be absolutely rolling over in their graves, wondering what on earth has happened to such a marvelous, at one point, marvelous, truly respected industry. I respected it so much that I studied it in college. It was ultimately what I wanted to do. It was my dream to be in national news. My life didn't end up falling that direction, but it is still a passion, and I am very passionate about it. And I, at this point in the status of our country, based upon what we have seen in the last 20 years and the absolute decline of professionalism and ethics and just truthful based reporting, it's not existent anymore. It doesn't exist anymore, except in the very fringe part of journalism. But the major national news networks have sold their soul to a political entity, and they can no longer call themselves non-biased journalists. They're not. They are figureheads for a propaganda machine that we see in third world countries and communist countries. They are controlled by another entity. They are no longer self-controlling, and that in and of itself disqualifies them for news, for journalism. It's their fault. They have allowed themselves to become, to be very blunt, they've prostituted themselves to a political machine, and now that political machine runs their news, their journalism. And that's not journalism, that's propaganda. And they can say and claim and profess that that's not the case, but it is the case, and it is displayed every day on the news. And what's even more disturbing is that for the last 10 years, the national propaganda machine, I'm not going to refer to them as journalists because they are not. They have lost that very honorable, prestigious title to be a journalist. They're not. They are propagandists in a massive war campaign against one person, another human being, Donald Trump. Former President Donald Trump. Let's not forget that. He was elected. He is a former president, just like all of those former presidents that are still living. Carter, Bush, Obama, Clinton. They're all former presidents, and they all deserve the equal honor and respect. But President Trump does not get that. He's never gotten that, because he will not allow the propagandists and the massive machine that supplies them to buy him. They can't buy him and they can't control him, and so therefore he terrifies them because he's a threat to their massive propaganda, incestuous industry that has now taken over our national news networks and news delivery system. They can't buy him. He calls them out on what they are. They're fake journalists. They're not journalists. By definition, I've explained that. They have lost those credentials. So what do we do about it? We have to have freedom of speech. Yes, we do. And it should be defended at all costs. But when there is such a powerful entity, there has to be now, because it has been corrupted. It's no longer an honorable, non-biased machine. There has to be accountability now. There has to be a national code of conduct and ethics. You have to have a license, and there has to be a code of conduct and ethical standards that each and every person must apply for and adhere to. Just like banking, insurance, doctors, lawyers, claims adjusters, hairdressers, mechanics, I can go on and on. All of those industries are regulated, and they have a checks and balance system. They have an ethical code of conduct and standards. And when you violate those, you are fined or you are fired, for lack of a better word. You no longer can participate. You lose the right through your unprofessional, unethical standards and conduct. It is time. It is time that we do the same thing for our national news. Doesn't mean that they don't have the power to deliver the news, but we have got to, we must stop this incessant propaganda and destruction of other human beings for a political gain. It will destroy our land if we don't make the changes to make journalists and news networks and stations and magazines and any other free press. We must make them accountable through conduct and ethics codes. And if you violate those codes and that conduct, you must be fined or you must be held accountable. And whether that means that you are expelled, well, then your conduct must be pretty bad. Now, our national news is would never agree to this. Well, why wouldn't they? It stops them from being bought off by a political machine. But who suffers from this propaganda? Well, the American people do, because they're not getting the facts. They're getting a slanted view of everything. They are not delivered non-biased factual information. So they can make up their own mind, so they can make up their own decision as to who or what they are going to agree or disagree with or support. The news media has taken that right away from the American citizen, and that's a violation of our civil rights. I believe this with every fiber in my being. And we must figure out a way to hold this industry accountable. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to see political adversaries shot at, attempted assassinations. The destruction of innocent people for a political gain is not acceptable in our nation. That is third world country. That is not the mighty and magnificent United States of America. We must eliminate the blight on our America by the corrupt news media and all of the outlets that perpetuate that broken, compromised, and destructive force that is dividing this country. It will cause a civil war. It will. Unless we the people make our voices heard and we go to our local, state, and national officials and say, enough is enough. There must be standards. There must be a code of conduct. There must be standards and ethical standards. And if you break those or violate those, you will be held accountable, because those actions will hurt someone. We lost an American this year and 2 others were injured because of this divisive mega machine that is influencing young people that are influenced by your hatred and your division. A man died going to a political rally because he believed and supports another person. And their hatred of this person, it is what is driving this entire thing. Like him, don't like him. That's your choice. But we cannot, as Americans, allow this system to take another life because of a political view or ideology or direction. We cannot allow another American, or anybody for that matter, to die at the result of supporting a political candidate. That's unbelievable to even think that happened in this amazing, mighty country that we have allowed this, that this is where we are. Children now do not have a father. A wife no longer has a husband. That's unforgivable. That's been allowed to happen in this country. And Americans must unite and demand a change in our national news delivery system. And everyone that works in that industry must be accountable. It's not okay anymore. It's not okay. If you also feel this way, then we have to work together for a solution. Because if we don't, it's going to continue and the divide's going to get bigger and there's going to be an incident and then it's going to trigger civil war. We were a fraction of an inch from that when Donald Trump was almost assassinated. And I'm sorry, I hold every single journalist responsible who has spread lies and deceit and misinformation about a political candidate, whether you like him or not. That is not your position. And the fact that you make it so crystal clear as a reporter is a disgrace and a violation against every principle of journalism. What do we do? How do we fix it? How do we start to fix it? Those are all really good questions that we all need to figure out, because it has to change. It cannot continue. Another political season like we have seen will destroy America, and it will take lives because there's no accountability. Anything in life, any decision in life that you have experienced, anything you decide has a consequence, right? They don't. So they do whatever they want. And that's dangerous. And it will destroy us if we do not figure out a way to make these changes. I'd love to hear from you. What are your suggestions? Let's get a think tank together. Let's get a live call together. Let's brainstorm. Americans are incredibly intelligent, sophisticated people. We can figure it out if we all work together towards an end to fix this broken, dangerous thing called journalism and national news. So I want to hear from you. Let me know. How do we fix it? How do we change it? How do we start it? Who do we start with? I've got some of my ideas, but I really do think this has to be a coming together to fix, in my opinion, one of the greatest perils that our nation faces today. And it's from here. It's not an outside thing. It's here, and it's rampant. It's like a plague, and it's going to kill this country if we don't figure it out very quickly. This is Carrie at Conversations at Carrie's Corner. I would love to hear from you. I'd also love to know if there's any ideas that you'd like to talk about. We're going to be expanding and go live soon, and I do mean soon. And if this is a subject that you would like to see go live where we can get some back and forth conversation, I can make it happen. I would just really like to get some feedback from you and let me know if you would like to be a part of that conversation. I think it is a very pressing matter that needs to be addressed today, not tomorrow, but today. Have a great Wednesday, everyone. This is podcast number 1 of the week, second one to come towards the end of the week. And I really do want to hear from you. Your opinion matters. It really does matter. Whether you agree, disagree, I want to hear from you. That's what conversation and change is all about, is respecting each other's opinions. You don't have to agree with me. That's okay. You have to respect my opinion, and I have to respect yours. That is the key here. Is respect, listening, having an open mind. When we do that, anything is possible. That's how we got to be the greatest country in the world. We've forgotten it, though, and we got to get it back. We got to get it back before it destroys us. Conversation is so important. We got to figure out a way to do that. And social media is a fantastic opportunity to do that. We can bring as many people together from as many places as we can possibly do in one sitting and brainstorm and get some concrete steps in place. America's worth fighting for. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Hopefully to create a movement of conversation where we can come back to the middle and be united. We can differ, but we can be united, and we are nowhere near that. We have gone so far the other direction. If we don't correct it, it's going to break us in half. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. I look forward to hearing from you. Podcasts are twice a week, and just remember that beautiful picture in your mind of a beautiful diner, a milkshake, and a conversation, because that's truly where change begins. So let's start it together. Join with me, and let's start the conversation so we can change how and where our country is headed. Do it united as one and not divided. A country divided cannot stand. God bless everybody. This is Carrie from Texas at Conversations at Carrie's Corner. See you the next time. Have a great day.